Hello, I'm Alex.
I'm James.
And I'm Dan.
We're the RAGAMUFFINs, and welcome to episode 47 of the RAGAMUFFIN Music Podcast. It's a place for us to talk about the music that we love.
On this episode, we'll be
We got to do the whole
now.
intro in one, please.
Reviewing.
Right, let's start again. We're the RAGAMUFFINs, and this is episode 47 of the RAGAMUFFIN Music Podcast.
On this episode, we're reviewing the brand new albums from State Champs and Linkin Park.
We're going to talk about the Download Festival lineup.
Pretty good.
Spoilers.
But first, last episode's album recommendations. We'll start with you, James, because it's one that we've already talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But remind us.
I recommended us to go back and listen to Better Lovers, Highly Irresponsible again. An absolutely incredible album. It had just come out the month before, but I think you'd said about wanting to spend a bit more time with it, perhaps. And I love that album, and I wanted to spend more time with it anyway, kind of coming into awards, which we'll talk about a bit more later on. So yeah, having a bit more time listening to this debut from an incredible band. Any more additional thoughts or anything like that?
It's just the same thoughts as before, really. Just it's relentlessly heavy. It pulls you in different directions. You never know sort of what turn it's going to take. And if you do know, even like the moments you can predict what turn it's going to take, you're happy it's taking you down there. Because it's just an excellent debut, which you'd come to expect from the lineup that they've got in this band. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to add. I don't know.
No, I think you're spot on. I don't think I got anything particularly more from it, having spent more time with it, except that I just enjoy it just as much. I mean, I guess I'm a bit more familiar with what the chaos is.
If anything, it wants me to spend even more time with it again.
Yeah.
So I'm going to recommend it a third time.
There's a lot of jump cuts in this episode. It's because we've got the giggles. I recommended Sang of War by Creeper. I don't expect either of you to have enjoyed it, and that's fair enough, but I like it.
I did not.
I disliked it the last time I tried to listen to it, and I still dislike it now, if not a little bit more.
Fair enough.
I think if you're a fan of like musicals and like a story behind like almost like a soap opera in music, then you're gonna love it. But unfortunately, I don't really like those things, so I did not love it.
Fair.
I can kind of appreciate a lot of the thought in kind of the ambience and things around it and creating something like a bigger kind of overall sound. But I think very similar to Dan, yeah, it's just not for me and not anything that I would go back to.
I do like Creeper's older stuff though.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And the album cover's really cool. The art looks nice.
It is cool, yeah.
I'll give it that.
Fair enough. At least we tried.
Dan.
After delving back into my memory of The Prodigy and having the little man that runs on the side of the car jump over all the obstacles, I thought I'd let you guys relive the Prodigy album Invaders Must Die. I say relive, it's probably James's first time listening to it, I imagine.
It was.
Thoughts?
It'll probably be my last time listening to it as well.
Excellent.
It's just not,
we love music.
It's just not for me. Yeah, I love music. But yeah, this just kind of wasn't for me in particular. There's songs on there that I know because obviously they're so popular. But kind of going through it, I was like, I'm not going to go back to it. A one and only listen for me, I think.
Fair enough.
Not even any songs in there making it into a playlist?
No.
It's a great jam album.
But the thing is, I'm not a playlist person.
That's fair enough.
I'm not
normally.
I will listen to like a whole album from start to finish. And yeah, gym-wise, it's usually just deathcore.
You know who is a playlist person? This man to our left.
Yes, I am.
Is it making any of your playlists?
Some of it is. I think what surprised me about this album is how much I recognised without kind of knowing. Like, I'm pretty well familiar with like some of their earlier stuff, particularly Fat of the Land, which houses a lot of their big tunes.
Yeah.
But like, I was surprised as I listened to this how much of it like was just already like in the back of my mind somewhere, and I was like, oh, that's what that is from.
And you like instantly know the melody.
Yeah. I like the album. They're very good. It was very good.
Very good.
I like the Prodigy. They're very good.
Very good. Prodigy, very good.
Anything else good?
The music.
Very good.
Let's talk about some more of it with new music.
Very good. We'll start with the new Malevolent single, Trenches. Alex?
Well, I mean, it's just sick as fuck, innit? Like, exactly what you want from Malev. got the moshy bits. It's got the super moshy bits. I really like the sort of Pantera-ish influence in like the way that the vocals are like I say cleans. They're not really that clean, but like the way the chorus is sort of delivered in that sort of like harsh, like sort of late 90s rock kind of vibe. I think they've just sort of so seamlessly blend everything about heavy music that you can imagine from like the 80s, 90s all the way through to now across metal, hardcore, everything. Like they are one of the most like seamlessly fluid bands within like the heavy space, I think. And can't wait. I'm presuming this is going to be a new album.
I hope so.
I believe so.
Yes,
I'd love
so
it to be.
can't wait for that. I think they're great. I bloody love them.
I think it feels like it's almost like the rules. If you're in a hardcore hardcore / metal band, that you've got to do at least one song that's a bit braggadocious and like you're chanting your own name in it.
Yeah.
This is that song for Malevolence. It feels a little bit, not quite childish, but a bit like silly at the start.
Yeah.
But like once you kind of lean into it and go like, oh yeah, that's just what this song is. It's just them like calling out some other bands and bigging themselves up. Like, why not?
As they should. Yeah.
No, I kind of just completely agree with both of you, to be honest. Like, instrumentally in particular, I mean, the vocals help with it, but instrumentally, it just makes me want to throw down and start fighting people. It just has that kind of instant aggressive energy about it that just kind of gets you pumped up, gets that energy and adrenaline kind of coming from within yourself with it. And it just goes fucking hard. Makes me want to see them live again, because we had that kind of period where I think we just saw them everywhere over about 6 months on tours, festivals, all that kind of thing. And it feels like it's been a little bit of time now. And I know they're obviously doing the tour with Sleeps at the minute, which they've got a fucking good billing on that. So
I mean, they've been
them
off to like Europe and the US and stuff for a while. So it'd be nice to have them back.
It'd be nice to see them on a good tour package. Or I don't believe they're announced for any festivals at the moment next year over here. And nothing comes to mind. So
Slam Dunk?
Are they?
I can't remember.
I can't remember the lineup. I remember it being fucking
Me
good.
neither. Get your tickets for Slam Dunk Festival.
Yeah, do that anyway. It's fucking good. But yeah,
Very good.
Love this song. Looking forward to more releases from Malev. So we have also got the new Architect single, Whiplash. I've done a reaction video, so all my thoughts are out there now. What do you guys think?
I think that this is a good metalcore song, but not a good Architect song.
Elaborate.
Well, I think that, like, I just think this is it. To me, I think this is pretty just like by the numbers, safe, like modern metalcore. I don't think they're doing anything particularly dazzling on this song, which, like, for a band who had arguably from, like, I would even go as far as to say that at the time, maybe it wasn't as influential, but Daybreaker, Lost Forever, All Our Gods, as a run, had such a huge impact on the scene and the way that the sound within metalcore sort of changed.
I think you can include Holy Hell in that
And
as well.
Holy Hell.
That entire run of albums.
And like, as I listened to this, all I could think to myself was like, where has that innovation gone? I don't think this does anything new or exciting. And I think that's kind of a symptom of, well, I guess we won't know.
A broken spirit.
Brilliant. I worry that this might be a symptom of Jordan Fish as a producer, because I don't think any of these new songs are particularly like dazzling for Architects. And I've not listened to it myself yet, but I've heard people say similar things about Poppy's latest album, in the sense that all of her individuality within her sound is kind of gone, and it just sounds like a Bring Me dupe.
We may have to fact check again. I know Curse was with him, and I read an interview. I don't know if Whiplash is with him as well.
Well, he's
And
produced the
not-
album.
It's
though.
my
He's not
understanding that-
producing the album.
Oh, it's my understanding that he has.
I believe he's produced some songs and worked to them a little bit.
We'll fact check
there'll
that
be
and put it on the
fact check
screen.
at the bottom of the screen.
I'm not
if
100%,
he's
but I want to
producing the
say
album or not.
I saw an interview that Sam and Dan did, maybe with Enemy, where they mentioned that. Your thoughts?
I think, like, all of the new songs, I think, have been, again, excellent songs, but it feels like Architects are almost trying to just claw back their fan base. I know, like, Sam particularly has been very vocal of the last couple of albums being a departure from their like classic metalcore sound because they wanted to, and creatively it's the way they wanted to go. But it also feels like, you got bored of that bit quickly then, didn't you? Because you've come back to making metalcore. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not that they've... I'm trying to think of the best way to word it. To summarise, I think Architects are kind of at their peak. I can't see them really like going out there and gaining any new fans.
That step up of being like a headliner at Download.
Yeah.
And it's like, are they going to reach that point when they can overcome that hurdle to be a potential headliner? It's like there needs to be something new, something innovative that has to come through to push them to that next level.
So maybe this stuff is the step back to reset themselves as a heavier band, and then maybe whatever they release after this will be like them reinventing themselves again and being like, okay, this is the direction we're going now.
But yeah, I think overall, I just think that this song does nothing to like. And it's kind of how I feel with Spirit Box lately as well. Is like Eternal Blue, and even some of the stuff pre like Blessed Be and Holy Roller. I know Holy Roller was on the album, but it came out quite a bit before. Like that sort of era of them and Eternal Blue felt very like, oh, okay, this is the fresh new direction of like modern metalcore. And then everything since then has just been like sort of like chasing their own tail.
Soft Spine has been the only one for me that has felt like moving forwards and something a bit more newer, more innovative from them. Otherwise, everything else they've released, whether it's from the EP or even the new single that has come out, I've given it a brief listen. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but that one didn't do anything for me in particular either.
Yeah.
I think one of the big problems that metalcore has is it goes in cycles. Like, and Architects have been part of that cycle. Architects, like how many bands copied Doomsday, for example, and then suddenly every metalcore band sounds like Architects. So then what happens? Someone comes along and does something a bit new. Like you have Bring Me the Horizon do something new. Suddenly every band sounds like Bring Me the Horizon.
Yeah.
Bad Omens and Spirit Box come along. Suddenly every band, well, like the cycle is probably like every band sort of like their next album will sound like a Bad Omens album or whatever was popular about a year previous.
Yeah.
But it just, for me, saturates everything and makes everything sound the same, which is where you need bands to come through and do something new, which is where it's exciting when Bad Omens, Sleep Token, Spirit Box, Architects break through. But again, like they become almost victims of their own success because everyone starts to copy them and it forces them to have to do something different.
Yeah.
So I'll never like criticize a band for doing something a bit different. But
No.
Well, I think there are very few bands in metalcore that are maybe outliers to that. Like I think like a Sleeps, for example, they have their own kind of distinct sound where you can kind of tell it's their sound, but I could never see them going down like a Bad Omens route with an album or something like that. But I think because metalcore is so incredibly saturated, and that's coming from me in particular, it is difficult to find a band that's gonna stand out.
Well, this whole thing, I've been thinking about this, and I'd like to maybe like this will change the running order of how we review things. But I'd actually like to skip to the State Champs album.
I was literally about to say, speaking of genres that are saturated.
Well, I think to me this has got me thinking a lot about expectations from bands, because State Champs, as I was listening to this album all month, and I listened to it again today on the way here, and I just thought to myself, they've done, and there's not a diss because I like all their music, they've done absolutely no evolution. I think you could jumble up any of their songs from any album and reorder them and give them to me, and I wouldn't be able to tell you, oh, that's from this album. Like,
and that's fine, but what's the point in making it a self-titled album?
Yeah.
Like to me, if you're a band that's this far into your career and you're gonna like release a self-titled album, it needs to be either you've like completely reinvented your band and your sound, and you sound like completely different to what you did before. You've been away for a few years and you've come back, or maybe you've changed your sound previously and now you're going back to your old sound, like Neck Deep's album this year. That's you can get away with self-titling that because they're going back to like their old sound in a way. This State Champs album it's a State Champs album,
which is fine.
It is what it is.
I think that's what's
why self-title it
is like. But then,
do we really need another album about like? Because like some of these songs are about like high school breakups, or at least it feels like they are.
Yeah.
it reminds me to a comment someone said about I can't remember who it was out of our group, and it might even be one of you, about seeing Bowling for Super download, kind of singing all those songs about high school, and obviously they're way beyond that now. And it just feels like an absolute repetition. It's like what they do, and they have a very kind of good solid sound of pop punk. They do it well, but there is nothing within this album that feels like anything different. Like you say, if you're going to do a self-titled, you're kind of going to make a statement. You're going to show evolution, almost like a rebrand in a way.
Yeah.
And push something new forwards. And it just feels like the same.
New.
There is nothing.
I will say,
but that's fine though for me.
Yeah, it is
because
fine,
that's what I'm saying. Is
there's just this sense of confusion of like, why make it a self-titled album? And do we need this album again?
The sticking point for me is that like we're here sort of like lamenting bands like Architects for like what they do with their evolution, but then I'm not bothered that State Champs don't evolve. Do you know what I mean? So I think the interesting to me is that like there are some bands that you kind of like, they can just kind of get away with it, like just by being consistent. So whereas some bands, maybe it's a genre thing, but then Neck Deep have done that.
But I also think this is State Champs' weakest album. I think Light Blue, I will say, is an absolute banger. But other than that, I wouldn't really care about any of these other songs being on the set list if I went to see them live.
Nothing to me in particular on this album for like a song really stood out, to be honest.
Pop punk is naturally a very nostalgia-driven genre anyway, so I think. I don't know what point I was leading up to.
I don't know.
You can look back. You can look back at Neck Deep from earlier this year, and to me, I can say a song title name, and I can hear that song in my head. I don't have that with this new State Champs album. I just think I've kind of got generic State Champs down in my head, and there's nothing to me in particular this album. What it's done, and it's solid throughout, but there is nothing to me that stands out and makes it a strong release.
To go back to Alex's point about expectations, this album is exactly what I expected.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah.
But then it's like, the Architect, maybe that's it. The whole thing is that with Architects, I sort of expect them to still kind of surprise me in a way. But would that be everything about that song felt so like by the numbers?
Would that be because obviously you followed Architects since very early days, and you've seen the evolution throughout their discography, and you're still expecting more evolution, whereas there hasn't been that necessarily in State Champs' career? So like you're kind of just used to the sound of what an album's going to be, whereas you kind of expect that new evolution still from Architects.
Maybe. I think it's more as well that this Architects song sounds like Architects can evolve. I think they've done it quite a few times, like going from Hollow Crown to the Here and Now. Huge radical change. I don't think other bands in the scene were doing anything like it. Same when you go from the Here and Now to Daybreaker. And then when Daybreaker through to Holy Hell is sort of as a contained era that has evolutions within it. And then they switched it up for Those That Wish to Exist and Classic Symptoms.
Which, like, is fine. I think they had to.
I think that's still a distinct
sound. A lot going on in that era of the band.
This song, this new one to me, doesn't feel like it is anything beyond what, like, any other metalcore band would do. So, I don't know. Well, we went around the houses a bit there.
Great songs. We'll wait till the album's out now.
Well, we'll wait till the album comes out, yeah. Speaking of evolution, the new Counterparts EP. A lot of people online. Oh, wow, it's not a melodic hardcore album. They're not a melodic hardcore band anymore.
Shut up. Enjoy
I'm one of those people.
Are you actually?
Shut up, man.
No, I'm not. This is cool. It does sound like End, but it's still cool.
So I would say to that, yes, it sounds like End because of Brendan's, I guess, harsher vocals throughout it, but instrumentally, I don't get as much of the comparison.
No, it's there. It is there.
I can hear bits of it, but I purely, it's like I've said before with it, when I did the reaction initially, it's when you get the people who are like, oh, Stone Sour and Slipknot are the same. No, you're just hearing Corey's vocals. There's a clear distinction between the musicality of a Slipknot song and a Stone Sour song, and I think there is still distinctions between End and this Counterparts EP.
I think it's the drums that set it apart.
I think that's where it lies very strongly with Kyle Brownlee's drumming. Kyle Brownlee's drumming is very different to whoever drums for End.
I don't know. If you'd have just played this to me blind and said guess, I would have probably guessed End before Counterparts.
But is that because of the vocals, or do you really
no, all of it?
Okay,
I do think I'm not, and that's not a bad thing, by the way, because I like End.
Yeah, End are great.
I can understand the frustration from some people online because I like Counterparts for being a melodic hardcore band. Like my favourite albums of theirs are a bit more tried and true melodic hardcore. So, but people like it. So
Brendan went on record and said this is the truest Counterparts to date.
Fair enough.
But is this not like the whole purpose of an EP? Like
To reintroduce,
to experiment,
or, yeah.
to just do, like, just fuck around and do whatever you fancy doing without the pressure of it having to sound. Although it does like sound consistent across the EP, there's less pressure than with an album, I guess, with that. So that's, I guess, the purpose of an EP. Just to
I do like it. I would like to say I do enjoy this EP a lot, but like given the choice, I'd rather go and listen to either End or an old Counterparts album.
Yeah, what you're saying is this is a great EP and you enjoy it, but it's not what you look for from Counterparts.
Yes. So I'm just going to listen to what I do like about Counterparts.
Which I do understand.
Right.
Like,
I know.
They've essentially dropped the melodic part and just like gone apeshit, which I fucking love. I love it.
Like
this EP, I'm not a violent person. I'm a pacifist. Viewers. But this EP like makes me want to just spin kick someone's nan.
Mm-hmm. I think it's
your
incredible.
nan.
It's always the nan with you, isn't it?
Yeah,
Fair
I've
enough.
got a thing for nans. I don't have a nan of my own.
That's getting clipped out of context. I love it. I think it's the best EP of the year. I think the drumming in particular, Kyle Brownlee's ridiculously underappreciated as it is before this release, and I think there are so many amazing drum parts within this. The blast beats are gorgeous. The fills that come through, just even the subtle parts that he does during some of the kind of calmer, more atmospheric moments, I think are incredible. Riffs, I think, are fucking incredible as well. And No Land Was Lost, I think, is my favourite off of here. It's just unrelenting. Drum intro just to kind of kick it all off, and it's just incredibly strong. I love it. I've been spinning it so much. And yeah, I can't praise it enough, to be honest.
It does riff kind of similar to The Current Will Carry Us, which is a very early album, which makes sense. I don't know how long he's been back in the band, but Jesse, their guitarist, was their original guitar player, left for a few albums and has since come back.
I think he was back for Eulogy, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe the one before. I can't, but I think it riffs like that, which is cool.
I feel like I recall we went to see them at Slam Dunk and you were like, that's their old guitarist. And that was when they were touring the Eulogy. So maybe it's for that. Linkin Park, From Zero. The big comeback after 7 years away. What do we think? There's been some controversial thoughts and opinions online.
Has there?
Well, maybe mainly from misogynists.
Oh, well, fuck him. If you're watching our podcast and you have that sort of opinion, sling your hook. Good album.
Get out. That's a niche TikTok reference from about 2 years ago.
Good album.
Anything else to say?
No.
I do think there's moments in there where it loses me a bit. I remember listening to it the first time in this very room. Chuck did a early listening party. James and I were there.
Yep.
And yeah, there were a couple of songs, mainly the slower ones, where it started to kind of lose me a bit. But then there'd always be a song like Casualties to come in and just pull me back in. So it's, yeah, mainly the heavier stuff that I enjoy on this album. I think Emily's vocals are excellent. I think she works very well with Mike as well.
Great back and forth.
And yeah, overall, a really strong comeback album, I think.
I think it's kind of exactly what I wanted out of it, really. For a release after this much time and kind of the state they're in now, I couldn't have asked for anything more out of this. I think there's so many incredible songs. I mean, a lot of them I think they released as well. Like, you listen to it, and I think Emptiness Machine, Heavy as the Crown, Two-Faced. Even I was skeptical and didn't enjoy Over Each Other necessarily as much when it first came out, but then listening to it in the context of the album, it makes so much more sense, and then my thoughts and opinions of that have changed. I do think Cut the Bridge, very much Bleed It Out-esque, and I think is one of the best songs on the album as well. Casualty, incredible. I'm really happy with it. The only thing I'm not happy with is the ticket pricing for the Wembley show next year, because really wanted to go to that, but it is extortionate. So that sucks. So
Please work with us though, Live Nation.
Yeah, please. Yeah. Download 2026 instead, hopefully, and just tie that all in with it, and finally get to see him live.
I'll say as well, like some of the like melodic parts of the choruses on these songs just stick in your head.
And there is a phenomenal range in Emily's vocals, just within just regular clean singing. You can hear like getting towards the higher moments with it in her range, and it's executed phenomenally well. And then you get the stuff like Casualty with the screams, where it's, I think, really strong, really kind of forceful. Very, very happy with this release.
I think, Alex, you're probably the biggest Linkin Park fan out of the three of us.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
Probably fair. I think what I like about this album is, like, Linkin Park for a lot of people, particularly early Linkin Park, has a very, very like treasured place in a lot of people's hearts, myself included. I really love Hybrid Theory, and I like Meteora, and I like Reanimation. But I feel like this band has existed in like 2 eras, and that's like those albums and then everything since. They've sort of changed to be a bit more of like just a straight up like rock band, which is cool. And I think what I like about this album is I do think it's a really seamless blend of every era and every like stylistic choice that this band has ever made prior, all wrapped up in one. So I feel like,
and they've even used the name from the band before.
So I feel like weird. I mean, if you're in 2024, don't know who this band is, I actually think this would be a really good starting point.
Nice.
Because it encapsulates everything that they do. And I love it. And again, they've got so many bangers in their catalogue that it's like with Slipknot. We talk about this with like huge bands. Like realistically, only about 3, maybe 4 of these are going to be added into the set anyway. But the difference with like a band like Slipknot is that I think was obvious on their most recent album, that it was like these 2 songs are going in the set. The rest of this album is whatever. We've got a deal to tie up. Blah blah blah. This felt really like they were committing to the whole album.
Completely.
Whether or not it all lands for everyone is whatever, but I think like
there are multiple within this album.
They didn't. They could have like phoned it in beyond the singles, and people probably still would have lapped it up. But I feel like they've given everything.
They could have just put like a mediocre album out with a couple of singles and the rest being filler, and then go, we're going on a big tour, come and buy tickets. Yeah. The album being the announcement of we're back, and then the tour being like what's making the money and stuff. But they're clearly doing it because they want to. And I think she sounds great live on the old stuff as well.
Yeah, agreed.
Seems to be growing in confidence as well from the clips I've seen.
Yeah,
good.
I watched
it.
Their live stream of the Sao Paulo show they did on YouTube as well, and just compared to the initial announcement one when they first came back, just levels above.
And that's not to say that she was lacking in confidence, but like she is just more comfortable.
I mean, she's thrown into something
months ago,
completely. So
killing it.
She's thrown into arguably one of the biggest bands ever.
Yeah,
particularly in alternative music. So, good on them.
It's brilliant.
That's about it for new music, isn't it?
It is.
That's all of it.
It is.
Anything coming up next month?
No, there is sweet fuck all happening next month. So that I literally looked, and I would say the only thing of an artist that's kind of notable that's coming out next month in December is Snoop Dogg.
Brilliant.
So there is sweet fuck all happening really in any kind of alternative or heavy music.
Well, you can look forward to our review of the new Snoop Dogg album next month.
I just yawned on camera. It's Christmas though, isn't it? Why would you release new music at Christmas?
Yeah, that's true.
Who would do that?
And no one buys new music.
Says the guy whose band is releasing their debut single around Christmas.
Yep.
Worst Wishes, Spinning in Circles, Braveface, double single, 20th of December.
You playing a show for it?
Yep. In Whitney, Saturday the 4th, at Fat Lil's.
January.
Saturday the 4th of January, Fat Lil's. I'm very excited. Please come. If you want.
If you want. Come if you want. James, you've been to some gigs?
I've been to some gigs.
What gigs have you gone and been to?
I've gone and been to Blank Atlas in Gloucester, Out of Key Studio, which is a very, very small venue, like a 5-band lineup. And that was really good fun. After doing the interview with them at Burn It Down, going and seeing them on their own set, like they were incredible. Fail State in particular, main support were also amazing.
Yeah, I saw Fail State supporting Beauty School and Jet Ski a couple of weeks previous.
Was really
good band.
impressed with them as well in particular. So that was a hell of a lot of fun. And you can go and check out that interview we did with Blank Atlas. I Burnt It Down on our channel now.
The best boys.
Yeah.
And the new single slaps, by the way.
Oh yeah,
Banger.
really good.
Yeah, good. I missed that show.
We can't beat them, join them.
You put a couple of highlights on our TikTok, I believe.
Yes, on our TikTok and YouTube Shorts and stuff, so you can go and give that a little watch. And then last Friday at time of recording, yeah, it was Friday. Went and saw Fit for an Autopsy, Silosis, Darkest Hour. We missed Harriet just because they were on early, and we had work and things like that, so
They
we couldn't
posted,
make it.
6:20 was their set.
Yeah, doors at 6. They were at 6:20. By the time we got there, it was about just after 7, and Darkest Hour just started, who were really good. I hadn't really listened to them at all, but it was a really nice way to kind of come into the gig. And I think for this show in particular, they did a switch around. Just that big yawn next to me.
Did a big yawn.
In this show in particular, did a switch around. So I think it's a Fit for an Autopsy tour, but because of, I think, how big Silosis is meant to be in London in particular, they let Silosis do the headline slot on this one.
Oh.
So
Just on the one show?
I did not know that.
Huh?
Just on that one
Just
show?
on this one show, I think, in particular.
Did Fit still play a headline
The one
length?
show.
They still played a full set from what they've been playing the rest of the tour around Europe. So it was still, I think, like
That's cool.
16 songs
I like that.
in total. And first time seeing them, they've been a bucket list band since first hearing Oh What the Future Holds in 2020, I believe it came out. Absolutely incredible. Just, I mean, Far From Heaven Live was phenomenal. Songs from the new album were amazing. Hostage in particular really stood out. Savior of Nine Ashes of All was great. Red Horizon. I could just list off songs, to be honest. It was fantastic. A vlog will probably already be out on the channel, so you can go and check that out. Silosis were really good. I struggled to get into them on record, to be honest. Seeing them live, it was phenomenal. I didn't realise Ali from Bleed From Within is the drummer. And me and Glennie in particular both came away from it, and we think that was one of the best drum performances from an entire set that we've ever seen. It was phenomenal. The consistency of his drumming was amazing. Riffs and solos from Josh were amazing as well. But I am guaranteeing that I will go and see Fit for an Autopsy again. That was one of the best sets of the year in particular for me. It was incredible.
And there'll be a vlog on the channel by the time people have seen this.
Vlog will be up on there. You can go give that a watch. Go and see me get a fist pump from Joe Bad. Happiness.
We're going to say something else then.
What do you think I was going to say?
Fist pump from your nan.
Fisting.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the download lineup. We haven't talked about it together on camera. Jay has done a reaction, and we've spoken about it in our little group chat.
I did a reaction too.
And Dan did a reaction too. Oh, just me then.
Yeah,
But-
it's just you we haven't heard from.
Let's talk about it now. We'll start with the headliners. Green Day. Are we
Brilliant.
happy?
That is excellent.
Very happy. Bucket list band that I wanted to see. I think like so many people have had them as a pathway band, including myself, getting towards heavy music. And yeah, I'm going to be there front and center. Absolutely loving life.
But they're not a metal band.
Oh, fuck off. Like I say, like
Sorry.
there's not you. Those people. This is just so perfect. I think it's like Fall Out Boy last year. You get these bands that are influential to a lot of the musicians on the bill that have been around for a significant amount of time, influenced people to listen to heavy music, to learn to pick up a guitar and play these songs, and so to have that as the top of the bill at a headline slot also shows that Download are progressing. I will say straight away, 3 people who have never headlined
3
before,
brand new
which
headliners.
is extremely important and crucial to the future of Download being relevant and not just repeating the same shit over again.
See, I've been saying for ages now that Download needs to, like with Download sort of having this issue of not having enough headline, like not a big enough pool of headliners to choose from, Reading going down the route of not really catering to much of a rock audience anymore, apart from the really irritating exclusives they sign, like Spirit Box and Sleep Token and Knock Loose, which make no sense with the rest of their lineup. But yeah, with Reading going in that direction, there's loads of bands that just don't really have anywhere to go. And Green Day being booked as a headline for Download is like an exact example of downloads like hoovering up those bands and giving them a new home.
This is the pathway to getting Blink, Foo Fighters, Red Hot Chili Peppers headlining Download Festival in the future. And
as they all should.
We are all here for that as a collective. I think very easy to say. And amazing.
Download has never really marketed themselves as like an out-and-out metal festival.
No.
They've always just been an alternative festival.
Like Bloodstock, you'd say metal festival.
Bloodstock's a metal festival. Downloads, like
it's always
whether you like
diverse.
it or not, it's been pretty diverse in terms of the bands they booked. And
Well,
I
it was
think
called Monsters of Rock, not Monsters of Metal.
yeah, exactly. Monsters of Metal would have been a better name, though.
Oh yeah, Monsters of Metal.
We love a bit of alliteration over here. Sign me up.
Let's
No,
skip,
Green Day's brilliant.
Let's skip the middle headliner for a minute and talk about Korn. This one's huge.
This is a band that deserves it.
Do you know what I actually think the tipping point was? Like I say this, they were probably already booked at the time, and it has nothing to do with them. I think it was the reception that Limp Bizkit got this year.
Yep.
By being, a band of that era, of that style, getting such a huge reaction by the crowd that it probably made them think, do you know what? This era, this type of band can do it. And I think in either the following year or the year after that, we'll probably see Limp Bizkit back at headliner level.
Yeah,
I think it's a mix of that and the Gunnersbury Park thing they did last year.
Yeah.
This year, rather. I feel like that was similar with my sort of prediction with Sleep Token, which we'll come on to in a minute, I'm sure. Like Korn did that Gunnersbury Park show as maybe a test of how many tickets they could sell on like their own large event, and it sold really well. It sold in like minutes. I mean, I couldn't get a ticket.
The other thing,
So
I think
that's a measure of their popularity. Plus, I've seen loads of people in comment sections saying, "Yeah, but Korn haven't done anything in the last 10 years to justify it." So, well, actually, new metal is like having a massive resurgence. Bands like Korn, Deftones, Limp Bizkit, Linkin Park are now like arguably bigger than they were like at their peak in the 2000s.
you can look at Google Trends that have actually proved that people are looking at it more than when new metal was actually peaking in the 2000s.
And
There's people that were Korn fans back in the day that are still Korn fans that will be really happy with this. There's young people that are going through social media and discovering Korn and becoming fans of theirs who will be really happy with this. So it covers just such a wide audience of people.
Yeah. I think also, like, as a counter to that point that people are making about them not doing anything in the last 10 years, what have Slipknot done in the last 10 years to justify them as a headliner? They have not put out a one solid good album. They've put out some good songs and the fact that they're Slipknot, but they haven't put out anything necessarily that's like
Game changer.
defining them in the modern era.
No.
Nor's Metallica, Nor's Kiss, Nor's Iron Maiden. Like all of those bands that have been headlining for the last 5-10 years.
They're legacy bands, isn't it?
Are
for the most
legacy
part?
bands anyway.
And
So-
that headline previously.
I think it's fair to see a band like Korn finally get their flowers and do it.
The other point I'll add on, as I think a reasoning behind it, you said about the Limp Bizkit, said about the new metal resurgence kind of that's been through, is also their last set they played in 22, I think it was. They subbed Biffy.
Yep.
And I would say there was a larger crowd for Korn than there was then for Biffy. Like the people there, it was absolutely massive. The kind of crowd they drew, it was huge. I was part of pits further back and people were going apeshit still then. And the amount of turnout they had was incredible, and I think led them to believe, for as a download booking kind of side of it, that okay, they're going to draw, they're going to bring people over here, and actually deserve to have that headline spot. As the fact there that whether you can have the arguments of whether Biffy deserve it, yes or no, and they've done it multiple years, and I think again it's kind of similar to the Green Day conversation. There's a lot of influence there and a lot of crossover that happens. But I think in terms of the fact that you've got a sub-headliner there who drew a larger crowd than the headliner, that's also another factor that I think has to be known as that was in play.
Well, James, it's time to pay the piper. Because Dan Bird bet you 20 British pounds. There they are in his hand right now.
Right here. Wow.
What did you bet, Dan?
I bet that Sleep Token would headline Download Festival.
And what happened?
Sleep Token are going to headline Download Festival.
I'm not
And
even mad about
specifically said 2025.
that.
Well, to be fair, like going back, I initially said after the Wembley show, they'll probably do it in the next 3 years. And then seeing how quickly the tour they're about to go on sold out, or like practically sold out, I changed my mind. I was like, no, they do it next year. And here we are, Sleep Token headlining Download Festival. All the clues were there. Like, it wasn't just like a random guess. Like, supporting evidence.
And supposedly by
There we go.
the Andy Copping leaks, when he's been defending it, they may be playing new music at Download.
I'll be very
He said
surprised
something
not to
about-
have a few singles by then.
I
It'll
think, to paraphrase slightly, I think he was saying essentially an album could be out by that
Well,
point.
it'll be 2 years since Take Me Back to Eden.
So that'll be very
by the
interesting.
time that headline set rolls around.
That is kind of infuriating that he's kind of accidentally leaked that, though, isn't it?
Mhm.
Vessel won't be happy. He's got the album under that hat.
He does. Cheeky boy. No, thanks, Andy. It's a very good booking.
Yeah, those 3 headliners. Yeah, cheers for that, Andy. Nice one. Nice one, mate.
Sorry, that was a bit Brent. That. It's going to be amazing. Cry about it if you don't like it.
Yeah. The amount of people that say, Download need to book some new headliners, and then when you get 3 new headliners, yeah, but not those ones. So just shut up, man. Be happy.
Another option, if you don't like it, don't fucking go.
Don't go.
Also, I think this is a sign that Download are accepting that, like, they're switching up their target audience. They're not going after the old bands anymore. I mean, they'll probably come back around again, and it'll be fine because we've not had them for a couple of years now.
I Am Maiden 2026.
But looking at this lineup, and the to be fair, like the 2 years previous, like,
Yeah.
I think Download's going in the right direction,
I think that's evident.
and
as
they're
well.
they're actually going for bands that are relevant
Mhm.
and popular amongst like the actual heavy music scene, and not just legacy bands.
I think that's obvious as well as we go into like the logo bands of the lineup.
Great segue, Alex.
Thanks, man. It's always good when we do a good segue and then immediately
And then
point it
immediately
out and ruin
acknowledge the
flow.
segue.
Um,
No, picturing just a guy who's like riding around on a Segway. Look at that.
Can we edit that? Can you edit that on?
There he is, just on the table here.
First things first, Weezer.
Brilliant.
No, this is brilliant.
That's gonna be really
this
fun.
Is actually brilliant.
I'm not.
I
fussed.
can't wait.
That is great. Where are they on the lineup? Like, where do you think
no,
they are
my-
stage wise?
My assumption would be that they're going to be subbing Green Day, because that's the tour that they went on the Hella Mega tour.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
it was.
And then I would just.
and that worked.
I know, because Fall Out Boy as well, wasn't it? Yeah,
Mm.
Fall Out Boy, Green Day, and Weezer. So yeah, I think that would work.
I would also then, just to jump ahead a little bit, then put Jimmy Eat World underneath that.
Would you?
It's possible.
Because you think on the
Jimmy
certain
Eat World are a
days,
pretty solid Avalanche headliner, though.
but I also
Or
think
maybe too
like
big, actually.
based on certain days, on like there's a lot of pairings I think you can make up with some of these bands in particular. And so I think it would depend. I'm trying to see like where would they most kind of fit in that kind of relation with it. Like I would then put Bullet underneath Korn.
Would you?
Yeah.
I
Maybe
see,
not,
I
not
think-
directly. I'm not saying that as.
My-
I'm not saying
okay.
Bullet subbing
Oh,
Korn.
I
I'm not
see.
saying Bullet subbing Korn.
My
I'm
suspicion
saying on that stage on that day.
My suspicion
stage.
is that we're probably getting Weezer under Green Day, Billet under either Sleep Token or Korn, and there's probably another sub-headliner still to be announced that would be on that line.
Because I can also see Spirit Box either underneath Korn or Sleep Token. It works either day.
Spirit Box did support that Gunnersbury Park show.
Yeah.
But
But
are they
then
big
they
enough?
could be brought in on
Are
the
they big
on the
enough to sub though?
No,
Or
I
would
don't
they
think
be?
direct
Would they
sub.
be a
Do you think they're
I
big
think
enough?
on that-
Do you
second
think they're big enough
stage?
to second stage headline?
possibly?
Bad Omens.
Bad Omens were booked there. Spirit Box are probably.
Probably as big. If
Yeah.
Not bigger. No, they've got to be
not
bigger.
bigger. But
No, I think they're bigger. I don't think Bad Omens sell out Ali
no
Pali.
chance. Easily.
Do you think?
Yeah.
I think they
Uh-huh.
would.
2 nights.
2 nights?
Maybe
yeah.
not two.
They do Wembley.
I think they'd definitely sell out one day.
Do you think?
I reckon Bad Omens will do Wembley.
I'm not betting you. You're fucking wrong. I don't know about that. In the US, I've got no doubts about their size, but I don't think they're that big over here.
Their fan base is that ridiculous, though, aren't they? That they'll just jump at it.
Anyway, Bad Omens aren't on the lineup.
Yeah. Moving on.
You guys are
The
Broken fans.
Yeah, Weezer I'm delighted with. Bullet's great. Jimmy Eat World, that'll be fun.
Yep.
Don Broco, I don't know where they go on the lineup, but great booking. Third down main stage, perhaps.
Sleep Token Day.
Yeah?
Feels
I
like the
reckon
right
so.
the right
Yeah,
link.
Feels like a good vibe, yeah.
So yeah, Sex
yeah, we've
Pistols
also
with
got-
Frank Carter.
yeah, exciting.
That's really cool.
It feels
That's
a
one of
bit
those-
feels a bit
that's-
bittersweet that the Rattlesnakes have been put on hold for a while. I guess while Frank does this, but
Understandable though. Like,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you get
If your
the Sex
friend can't,
Pistols
you're
ask
not-
you to go
yeah.
and be in their band, you kind of got to say yes, haven't you?
But it may have also been on the cards taking this out of it.
Yeah, maybe. We
I
don't know.
think that that's one of those bands that like I wouldn't go out of my way to go to like a gig, but what a set to go to at a festival.
Yeah,
I think that'd be
sure.
really fun. Who else?
Would you say second stage headliner? Because this is
It's a
where
good
I'm
alternative
trying to think of like you've got essentially I'll call them New Guard because it is very much more catered towards our era, yeah, with
Yeah.
the headliners. If you're going to please an older crowd, where you'd usually have the Iron Maidens and shit like that, not them being shit, but you'd have that kind of bracket of bands that cater towards that audience for the most part. You'd want to have those almost old head bands to counter those on a second stage headliner.
I think they're
Is
a really
there
good
anything on the
counter.
website that tells you what stages they're playing?
They've
Yeah.
not put anything on there yet.
Just artist stages.
Yeah.
I think they are the second stage headliner for Sleep Token. Sleep Token's Day.
Mm.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Because all the old fogies
Sorry.
that don't like Sleep Token, crusty old losers will probably go and watch the Sex Pistols.
And I
that
think
could be fair.
just to jump down ever so slightly, I would say Meshuggah would be one of those bands as well.
What do we think of McFly?
I love
I'm
it.
here. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I love it. We can get a shot of redemption at not being able to see Busted because I don't think this will be
Maybe.
as busy.
No,
It'll be busy.
I-
It'll be busy, no doubt.
I
It
think
won't
I think it
be-
will also be on the Avalanche tent.
Yes.
Someone
it'll be
did
in the
make
same
it into
stage.
Busted,
Shut up.
and I
I've
had
seen
a
them anyway,
phenomenal
so it's
time.
fine.
Nicely Lorna Shaw back.
Sure.
Seeing them the first time, last time at Download was incredible, and I have just listened to their music so much more since. So I'm very excited to see them again. I feel like the Darkness and Steel Panther will cater towards the same kind of crowd, so that's kind
Yeah.
of sort some people out in terms of the appeal for
The
a certain
Darkness will have
booking.
a new album out by then as well.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we look at this next
Let's go to the next line.
bit down? We already talked about Meshuggah.
I like the Bleed From Within coming back. I really enjoyed their set last time. Have started trying to listen to them more and very excited to see them return.
Delighted to see Dayseeker on there because somehow every time they come to the UK, I manage to not make it to a show.
Yeah,
So
I really want to see them live.
I'll finally be able to see them.
Boston Manor,
Yeah,
Up
can't
the
go wrong
lads,
with that.
Yeah.
solid.
Happy for that.
It feels like they've been more of a tree staple in the past few years, and so nice to kind of see them in a different environment at Download Fest, where I think will be really
Yeah.
quite cool.
I'm looking forward to seeing where they play because they could easily be low down on the main stage. Although I reckon they'll be in on the Avalanche stage somewhere.
Subbing the Avalanche for like Jimmy Eat World.
Yeah.
That could work, wouldn't it?
A band that you love and still haven't seen, and I've seen multiple times now, Ghost Inside.
Yeah, this is cool. I don't know how I keep missing chances to see them. I think they've been at like 4 different festivals over like different years. So
And
this is a lock-in. This is one of my. This might be one of my
you have to see.
unconditional sets for the weekend.
I'll just say, just to kind of bring it back to 2022, headlined Dogtooth, Sleep Token with the main sub for them on that stage. So what a difference 3 years makes.
Interesting.
Crazy.
Is that the last time Sleep Token were there? They were on that Avalanche stage when
Yep.
we saw them. That's mad.
And then the time before that would have been the Download Pilot, I think.
Yeah.
And then I think the time before that, I believe they've played on the Dogtooth stage before as well. I'm sure I've seen a video of that.
Is it not insane? Like, not to deep it, but like, I remember you recommending Sundowning on like very early era of this podcast.
So I can't remember if
And
I did
us-
it on the podcast.
Was it not?
If I did, I'm
no,
gonna-
it was. I remember.
If I did, we'll have to dig it out.
I remember it being on a graphic for like one of the very first episodes, like
Okay.
one of the first 4 maybe.
Hmm.
And then
That would have been early 2021.
yeah, and then I remember being like on like aware of this place will become your tomb, like
I remember it coming out.
cycle as it was coming out.
Yep. I remember watching
Like-
music videos as they were coming out.
And this is not to be like, oh, we were fans for ages, because there were people that were fans like from
Oh, yeah.
the 1 and 2 EPs.
Yeah.
But it is still like surreal to know that we've seen them at like some of the sizes that we have in the venues we have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we were lucky to get into them and just
I think
find them at
I
the
think
time
we
we
might
did.
have said coming out of Birmingham, like
They can
we're
be
not
big.
seeing them in a venue like that ever again.
We knew you
Well,
could. You could see
I
what's
still
happening.
remember. I love that we've like gone
Just
through
gone back
loads
to
of
it.
lineup and just gone straight back to Sleep Token based off almost nothing. I remember coming around to yours to record the podcast, and Alex saying, "Oh, we've managed to get ticket. We've been like awarded tickets to the Heavy Music Awards," and I went, "We're gonna see Sleep Token."
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
And then that was the first time we saw them, and I just remember the three of us just being like,
Shit.
"Whoa."
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was mind-blowing stuff.
Did they even play? Oh, and that Alkaline had like just come out, maybe.
Yeah.
And the Love
It was
like
right at the-
singles only. Maybe
It was the start
Yeah.
of the Tomb album cycle, and they were headlining the Heavy Music Awards. And it just felt like right then from when we first saw them live, or at least I felt like I was like, yeah, this is going to be a big thing. And look at them now.
To bring it back to some of these bands, after seeing them again at the Bear 2 show, I have been listening to Polaris a ridiculous amount. And just one of my favourite metalcore bands. Just been spinning albums so consistently recently and just constantly listen to them. I highly recommend them to anyone that hasn't listened and doesn't know of them. Absolutely phenomenal. And so I'll be there for all of that set, for sure.
I've just noticed in real time, Fit for an Autopsy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I nearly said earlier when you were talking about them? I nearly went, oh, that'd be a good booking for Download next year.
I'm surprised they're booked.
Fucking hell, brilliant. Sorry, before we get to that though, Poppy is a really great booking.
Can we talk about Ginger for a moment?
Yes.
Because they were fucking excellent.
They were
when we
so
saw them at
good.
Download last
First
time.
band of the year.
The first band of the weekend that we saw. It was the 20th. But was it Download 20 or however they branded it?
2023 edition.
Yeah, first band we saw of that really long, hot weekend.
Really long weekend.
But I remember loving that set.
Yeah, that was really good. I love North Lane as well, and I love Whitechapel. Those are two really cool bookings.
Whitechapel's been a band I've wanted to see for a while. And at one point, I think just before pandemic, they were meant to be playing O2 Academy Oxford. Because I remember you and I were discussing being like, fuck it, should we get tickets?
Oh, was it the pandemic then?
Yeah, and then it got cancelled and never happened. And I've actually just found myself going on more of a deathcore arc recently and listening to a lot of their music. So I'm actually really interested to hear Phil Bozeman's vocals live and just vibe along to Saw as a Law at a bare minimum. Very, very interested to actually see Whitechapel.
And then let's.
Then we go to the bottom
Just a
section.
smaller section.
shout out some of the
I mean-
sections.
Hello, Graphic Nature.
Yes.
Yes.
Hello, Lastel.
Yes. Big up. Hello, Loathe.
Yes.
Would you like to release new music, maybe? That'd be
Like
nice.
I mentioned this in my little TikTok preview, TikTok reaction. What are Loathe doing all the way down there?
Very surprising.
Like, I thought they were much bigger than that.
Mm.
Is it because of their inactivity that they've just
Maybe.
accepted?
Yeah,
that
because
they're
they haven't even
starting from down
played.
there
They
again?
haven't even played in the UK for
Ages.
some time.
It's been a
Because they
while.
keep cancelling everything.
Bloody
Yep.
US visa.
I mean, obviously, you mentioned Fit there as well. I'm actually interested. I don't know how much you guys have heard of House of Protection.
Yep.
The
They
two
played-
of the
they
ex-members of
played
FIFA
Their
333
first UK show a few
Underworld.
weeks ago. Yeah. They're-
Looked like it went
They've
fucking
got a
nuts.
feature on the upcoming Architects album.
I've listened and kind of dipped my toes into it. I want to check out more, but everything I've heard so far has been really,
Mhm.
really fucking good, and so I'm very interested to see them.
Oh, hello, Split Chain.
Yeah.
Hello, Split Chain.
Back at Download once again.
Oh, hello, Static Dress. Oh, hello, Trophy Eyes. Fuck you know.
You've mentioned and played Svalbard to me before,
Excellent
and
band.
so I think that would be a good one. Again, just saw Silosis on that Fit show as well. As long as there's no clashes, I'd be very happy to see them again.
I've heard good things about the band Vower. I've still not got round to listening to them yet, but I believe they are made up of members of Black Peaks and Palm Reader.
Interesting.
So that's going to be one to check out for sure.
I also want to delve more into Orbit Culture. We saw
Yes.
them supporting Trivium in Oxford last year, I think it might have been.
Yeah.
And I was very, very impressed by them as an opener. Swedish, I believe. So I would like to check them out more. I mean, the thing is, like,
We
we're
could
just
go
naming
on and on.
bands now because
Yeah.
there are so many incredible artists on
I
this
think
download lineup.
the great thing about this lineup is it's a really great summary of not only up-and-coming bands, but bands that are just, in general, the top of their game in the scene.
It's very current.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is perfect.
Which is what Download hasn't been for a long time.
Yeah, it feels like this is much more towards a look ahead to the future. We've got the idea, and what will be really interesting with that and looking to the future will be who are going to be these sub-headliners, because we don't know who are going to be the second stage headliners, because that would give us even more of a gist.
Yeah.
Download have been so crucial in the past in pushing people to headliner status. Without them doing that in 2009 to Slipknot, they probably wouldn't be the size or exactly how they are now. And I think the Sleep Token thing is going to change that. And I think what could happen with Korn after this actually could be very interesting. But Download have a strong power in terms of converting a band from being a good size to arena level.
Yep.
With that promotion behind them and with giving them the production and all those kind of things that make it a show as a headline slot. It's going to be very fascinating to see where all of these other bands are placed in relation to that and who they're pushing forwards as potential Download headliners in the future.
That feels about as good a spot to end it on,
Yeah.
I reckon. Let us know in the comments what you think of the Download lineup. Are you going? Are you not going? Are you mad about Sleep Token? Let your tears flow in the comments.
So normally we would recommend an album each at this point of the podcast, but because the next episode is going to be our Albums of the Year episode, stick around for that, by the way. Should we just talk about some albums or recommend an album each that has maybe been overlooked this year? Not necessarily one of our albums of the year, because we don't want to spoil anything, but something that we think people should be going back and listening to.
I will be recommending Coup de Grace by See You Space Cowboy. They were
Sweet.
phenomenal at Burn It Down. One of the best bands of the whole weekend. I've enjoyed every album they've done so far. This one might be my favourite. And didn't get talked about enough, but even by us included. So, good chance for people at home to go check that out if they haven't already this year.
I'm going to go with Like Moth to Flames, These Cycles Are Trying to Cope. I think in a very saturated metalcore market, I still think they're doing different things, pushing the boundaries out there, have been consistent in their releases, and I still don't think they get enough credit for what they do.
So we talked about self-titled albums earlier, and I think one that justifies being self-titled is Foxing by Foxing, because even this far into their career, they're still reinventing themselves, putting out music that just sounds like nothing you've heard before, and I think it's an absolutely spectacular album that not enough people are listening to, so go and check it out. To me, it's like if Radiohead decided to mash together Brand New,
Interesting.
minus Jesse Lacey.
Good. Another happy landing.
As always, pretty much it for 2024, apart from the awards, which will be the next thing that comes out as a podcast.
Yes.
So you want to subscribe for that in particular, hear what not just our thoughts are, but also the Ragamuffin Club have been involved.
They've been voting in their droves.
They have been. So that's been very interesting.
In their tens.
We've literally got tens of votes. No, we love the club. The club is sacred.
Yep.
And what they say is the law. So whatever they've deemed album of the year, let it be so.
I can't wait to hear what they voted for.
Well, you have to wait a whole
What
month.
you voted for.
You have to wait a whole bloody month.
What?
Unlucky. If you want to join the conversation, the Ragamuffin Club link is in the description. You've missed the boat to vote on album of the year, but there'll be more fun stuff to do. So just get involved.
We have got our website, ragamuffin666.uk. T-shirt available now. More stuff coming very, very soon. So get on that straight away. Follow us on all our socials, Ragamuffin666 everywhere. Subscribe, like, comment.
Everywhere.
I mean, it's
We're in your walls.
We are everywhere.
We are in your walls.
Thanks for the reassurance.
If you want to get your hands on any of the music we talked about today, go to truckmusic.store. Get it.
That's way
there?
too small.
I can't.
Is that going to be the website? Is it
There it is. That's where the website is.
there or there? There
Somewhere over
or there or there?
This is going to be a fun edit.
Or
Click
there.
on James's face.
Shit.
Truckmusic.store. We're the Ragamuffins. Goodbye.